Hale walked slowly along the bridge, surveying the aftermath. The galaxy was silent again, save for the faint hum of the Dauntless's engines. Humanity had proven its power, but Hale knew the war was not over. The Empire would regroup. They would strike again. But one truth was clear. Humans could stand against any force, and one human battleship could change the tide of history. Set course for the outer rim, Hale ordered. We move fast. We strike where they least expect it. Humanity does not wait for permission. Mara glanced at him, awe in her eyes. Sir, we did it. Against all odds. Hale shook his head, a small, grim smile on his face. We've only begun, he said quietly. They haven't seen what humans are truly capable of. The Dauntless surged forward into the darkness, leaving the wreckage of the Empire's fleet behind. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, a new battlefield for humans to prove themselves, and somewhere deep in the galaxy the Empire would whisper in fear, finally understanding what the humans had always known. Courage, unity, and ingenuity could triumph over size, power, and fear. In the void, one ship alone had shattered the heart of a mighty empire, and humanity had only begun to show its true strength. The remnants of the Empire's fleet fled into the darkness, burning and broken. But Commander Jonah Hale knew better than to think the war was over. The Empire was vast, cunning, and ruthless. They would regroup, and soon, and when they did, they would strike harder than ever before. On the bridge of the Dauntless, the crew worked silently, each movement precise, each mind focused. Hale's eyes scanned the sensors. There was something new on the horizon, an anomaly larger than any dreadnought they had faced. The humans' hearts tightened instinctively. This was not a normal ship. This was a weapon designed to crush hope itself. Lieutenant Mara's voice broke the tense silence. Sir, it's enormous. Its energy signature. It's unlike anything in the galaxy. It's a Doomsday-class weapon. Hale's jaw tightened. Humans don't back down. Prepare shields, ready weapons. Every system at full power. In the Empire Command Center, Admiral Corrin's voice was low, almost fearful. They've survived everything so far. But this time we'll end it. Fire at will. The Dauntless felt the first tremors of energy strikes long before the explosions reached them. Bolts of concentrated plasma slammed into shields, each one testing the limits of human engineering and endurance. Crew members steadied themselves as alarms blared. Sparks flew from consoles. Fear was there, yes, but it was a controlled fire, a fuel that made humans sharper, faster, braver. Shields at 70%. Mara reported, fingers flying. Incoming concentrated fire! Hale's voice cut through the chaos, calm, commanding. Evade pattern Delta 7. Return fire at the weapon banks. We are humans. We do not run, we do not surrender. The Dauntless twisted in impossible arcs. Lasers whizzing past, energy bolts colliding with shields. Torpedoes streaked forward in perfect timing, striking the massive weapon ship at critical points. Explosions rippled across its hull, shaking it violently, but the enemy was relentless. This was more than a ship. It was a fortress built to destroy hope itself. Hale moved along the bridge, scanning every display, issuing orders in precise, deliberate tones. Every human on the Dauntless trusted him and each other. Humans were a single organism when it mattered most. Each heartbeat synchronized, each decision shared without words. They were fearless not because they were reckless, but because courage was their nature. The enemy's doomsday weapon unleashed a wave of energy so vast that the stars themselves seemed to flicker. Space trembled under its power, but the Dauntless held firm. Hale's eyes met Mara's, and in that instant no words were needed. Humans had faced impossible odds before, and they always found a way. Target the venting exhaust ports, Hale ordered. That's our chance. The crew moved as one. Torpedoes fired in precise timing, striking the vents exposed by the massive energy discharge. A chain reaction erupted across the Doomsday ship, tearing it apart from within. Its shields faltered, weapons went offline, and finally it began to break apart. Admiral Corrin watched in disbelief. His greatest weapon, the culmination of the Empire's power, was crumbling before one human ship. Panic erupted in the command room. Impossible, one ship. Against everything? How? Hale didn't answer. He didn't need to. The humans had done what the galaxy thought impossible. They had stood firm against fear, against numbers, against weapons built to destroy worlds, and survived. They had proven their ingenuity, their courage, their unity. Below decks, crew members allowed themselves a brief exhale. Relief washed over them, but it was quiet, controlled. They had won this battle, yes, but the war was far from over. And still there was pride in their hearts, a deep, unshakable pride. Humans had arrived in the galaxy not just as fighters, but as symbols of resilience, defiance, and hope. Hale's gaze turned outward to the stars. The Empire would recover. They would strike again. But one truth had been etched across the cosmos by the actions of a single battleship. Humanity could not be broken. And no weapon, no fleet, no empire could intimidate a species that refused to surrender. The Dauntless sailed forward, lights reflecting off the shattered hulls of the enemy ships. Each crew member knew the truth of their moment. They were more than survivors, they were humans. And humanity had only begun to carve its place in the stars. Somewhere, deep in the darkness of space, the Empire whispered the same realization, trembling in fear. One human battleship could topple their mightiest weapons. One human battleship had shown the galaxy the impossible. And the humans were only getting started. The void of space stretched endlessly, dotted with burning wreckage and shattered ships. The Empire's fleet was in disarray, but Commander Jonah Hale knew the fight was not yet over. The humans had survived impossible odds, destroyed a doomsday-class weapon, and shattered the heart of the enemy fleet. But one human battleship alone could not afford to relax. On the bridge of the Dauntless, every crew member was alert. Every sensor monitored, every weapon ready. Hale's eyes scanned the chaos outside. Smoke and debris drifted through the stars like ghostly echoes of the Empire's pride. Yet somewhere deep in that darkness, remnants of the fleet were regrouping. The Empire would not give up easily. Lieutenant Mara spoke quietly, almost reverently. "Sir, the fleet is regrouping. They're trying to reform a blockade." Hale nodded, calm and unshakable. "Then we break it. Humans don't wait for permission. We create our own path." The Empire unleashed a concentrated volley, hoping to overwhelm the humans before they could strike. Energy bolts tore through space, exploding against the Dauntless's shields. The crew felt the tremors, the tension, the pressure, but none faltered. They were humans, and humans thrived under pressure. "Shields at 60%, sir," Mara reported, her hands moving fast over the console. "Good," Hale said quietly. "Keep them busy. Launch all drones. Target engines and weapon arrays. Disrupt their formations." Micro-drones burst into the void like a swarm of fireflies. They zipped between enemy ships, cutting systems, jamming communications, and forcing the Empire into chaos. Confusion spread through the fleet, their formations breaking as panic began to take root. The humans moved with a rhythm no alien could predict, a harmony of action and thought. Hale leaned over the railing, his eyes sharp. "Prepare for precision strike. Target the flagship's propulsion system. If it falls, the rest will crumble." The crew worked as one, synchronized and fearless. Torpedoes streaked forward with pinpoint accuracy, finding their marks in the massive enemy ship. Explosions tore through the hull, sending shards of metal spinning into space. The flagship groaned under the pressure, systems failing, weapons going offline. Its command crew scrambled, realizing too late that one human battleship had outmaneuvered their entire fleet. Admiral Karan's voice was tight with disbelief. "No, it can't be. One human ship is doing what a fleet cannot." "Stop it!" But the humans did not stop. Hale's voice, calm yet resolute, echoed across the bridge. "Humans never stop. Humans never surrender. Forward. Always forward." The Dauntless twisted and surged, weaving through fire and wreckage. Each attack, each maneuver was precise, fearless, unstoppable. The enemy fleet faltered, fractured, and scattered like leaves in a storm. Fear radiated from them, tangible even through space. They realized, too late, that humans were unlike any species they had encountered. Below decks, the crew allowed themselves a quiet, grim smile. Their hearts pounded with adrenaline and pride. They were humans, and they had achieved what was thought impossible. They had not only survived, they had turned the tide of battle. Every system, every action, every choice reflected the essence of humanity. Courage, ingenuity, and relentless will. Hale's eyes rested on the flagship as it listed and began to drift, crippled and powerless. The remnants of the Empire fleet turned away, fleeing into the darkness, broken and humiliated. Humanity had triumphed, but not through brute force alone. They had triumphed through unity, cleverness, and fearlessness. "Set course for the outer rim," Hale said quietly. "We move fast. Humanity leaves no enemies behind, only lessons learned. Mara glanced at him, awe in her eyes. Sir, we did it. We actually did it. The void of space stretched endlessly, silent and cold, like the quiet before a storm. Stars glittered, distant and indifferent, but at the edge of the Galactic Empire, a storm was brewing that no one had expected. Fleet Admiral Karan stood frozen before the massive holographic display in the command room, his hand hovering over the controls. What is that? He whispered, his voice trembling. Around him, officers shared anxious glances, unable to speak. Hundreds of ships had entered the system, but this ship was different. It was enormous, far larger than anything the Empire had ever seen. And the design, it wasn't alien. No alien civilization has ever built a vessel like this, muttered one officer, barely audible. The hull glimmered with an unknown alloy, smooth yet stronger than anything their weapons could penetrate. Turrets bristled along the sides, each one poised for destruction, yet elegant in their design. It wasn't just the size or the firepower, it was the presence. The ship radiated confidence, an aura of fearlessness that unsettled even the most disciplined veterans. Corin's heart pounded in his chest. Every instinct screamed to attack, to defend, to act, but something in him froze. Humans were legendary, known across the galaxy as unpredictable, clever, and willing to face impossible odds. And now, one human battleship was slicing through their outer defenses as if they were made of paper. Captain Lyra, standing close, clenched her fists. Sir, our squadrons can intercept it. We have 10 times their numbers. They can't possibly survive. Corin shook his head slowly. I've studied human tactics for 20 years, he said, voice heavy with dread. Even 10 to 1. It doesn't matter. They fight differently, unpredictable, daring, and precise. This isn't just a ship, it's a challenge, a statement, and we have no idea how to answer it. On the Dauntless, the human battleship itself, Commander Jonah Hale watched the alien fleet through the massive viewport. The ship hummed quietly under his command. He said nothing at first. There was no need. Humans didn't need loud orders. They acted as one, minds in sync. Every crew member knowing exactly what to do. Calm, focused, ready, stay sharp, Hale said finally, his voice low and steady. They'll test us, let them. We'll show them who we are. A warning pulse from the Empire's lead cruiser exploded harmlessly against the Dauntless's shield. The humans barely flinched. Hale's eyes narrowed, not in anger, not in fear, but in understanding. This was the first step of a ritual all humans knew well. Stand firm, fight smart, and survive against impossible odds. Humanity did not seek war, but it never ran from it either. Back on the Empire's flagship, panic spread like wildfire. Communications were breaking down, sensors failing without explanation, and reports came in of entire squadrons being outmaneuvered by a single vessel. One human ship alone against a fleet, and it was winning. Corin's stomach turned. He had always thought humans were dangerous, but this was beyond anything he could have imagined. Sir, Lyra said, voice trembling now. They're already inside our defensive perimeter. How is that possible? Corin's hands gripped the console. Because, he said, voice tight, humans don't fight like anyone else. They fight like themselves. They improvise, adapt, and endure, and we have underestimated them for too long. Across the galaxy, whispers began to spread through the Empire's command centers. Could it really be human? One ship alone, capable of such destruction, moving with the precision of an entire armada? It defied all logic. On the Dauntless, the crew shared a quiet smile. Not of arrogance, but of unity. They understood their captain and each other. Every human aboard had trained for moments like this, the impossible moments that demanded courage and clarity. They did not fear the Empire. They respected it as an opponent to be challenged. Hale's eyes flicked to the stars outside, unyielding, unwavering. He did not need to answer the whispers of the galaxy. Humanity had arrived, and soon every corner of the Empire would feel the weight of a single battleship, carrying the spirit of an entire species that refused to be conquered. The void waited. The stars blinked, and somewhere in that endless dark, humanity prepared to leave its mark. The human battleship, Dauntless, moved like a shadow through the Empire's defensive lines. Stars streaked past the viewports as it closed on the massive fleet. Sensors on the Empire ships blared warnings, yet every calculation they made seemed useless. Every maneuver the humans executed was unpredictable, precise, and devastating. Admiral Corrin slammed his fist against the console. How can one ship do this? It shouldn't be possible. From the bridge of the Dauntless, Commander Jonah Hale observed the chaos calmly. His crew worked without hesitation, adjusting shields, rotating weapons, and launching small attack drones that moved faster than the alien sensors could track. Each drone struck like a blade, disabling engines, cutting communication lines and sowing confusion. The aliens had not prepared for this level of coordination from a single ship. "Prepare torpedo strike on Cruiser 6, Hale commanded, voice steady, "and ready the disruptor array." "Aye, sir," replied Lieutenant Mara, her hands flying over the console. The Empire cruisers fired back, a storm of laser beams and plasma bolts arcing through space. The Dauntless twisted and rolled in impossible ways, its shields absorbing the brunt of the attacks. One strike hit the port side, sending sparks and shuddering the deck. The crew flinched for a moment, but they had trained for worse. They were humans, and humans endured. "Hull integrity holding," reported Mara. "Shields at 84%. Hale nodded. "Good. Let's remind them why humans fight differently." With a quiet hum, the ship's engines surged, launching the Dauntless into a sudden acceleration. In seconds, it was behind the Empire's lead cruiser. The alien crew scrambled in panic as the humans unleashed the disruptor array. A wave of energy surged outward, disabling weapons and jamming communications across the fleet. Confusion spread like wildfire. Ships fired blindly, colliding with one another. On the Empire flagship, Karan's voice shook. "Pull back! Retreat! Do something!" But no tactic worked. Every time they regrouped, the humans were already elsewhere, striking with perfect timing. The Empire realized a terrifying truth. They had never faced an opponent who could anticipate, adapt, and react faster than their own systems could calculate. Hale walked the bridge, eyes scanning the team. Each crew member moved in sync with his silent commands. Humans did not need constant orders. They felt each other's rhythm like a living organism with a single mind. Mara adjusted a turret in one motion, while the navigation officer calculated the perfect trajectory to avoid another strike. Every human action was purposeful, precise, and deadly. Meanwhile, alien ships exploded in fiery bursts, leaving glowing wreckage drifting through the cold void. The smell of fear might have been impossible to detect in space, but the humans could see it in the shaking formations, in the frozen expressions of alien captains. "Sir," Mara said quietly, "we're losing enemy numbers faster than we expected. Only 3 cruisers left in formation." Hale's eyes narrowed. "Good, let them think they can survive. That will make them reckless." On the Empire flagship, desperation turned to horror. Their war council had predicted humans would fight bravely, perhaps even foolishly, but never with such cunning and efficiency. Every cruiser destroyed or disabled sent shockwaves through the ranks. Corrin realized he was witnessing not just a battle, but a demonstration of something terrifying: humanity's will to survive and to dominate against impossible odds. Below decks on the Dauntless, crew members shared quiet, grim smiles. They felt the tension but also the unity. Each human knew their role, each trusted the other implicitly, and they fought not for glory or conquest, but because humans never gave up, never retreated, never surrendered. In a daring maneuver, Hale piloted the ship directly into the formation of the last alien cruisers. With coordinated precision, torpedoes struck their engines, and disruptor blasts crippled their weapons. The Empire fleet faltered, broken and scattered. Corrin's voice echoed across the void, disbelief and fear mixed in every word. "Impossible. No single ship can do this." Hale's expression remained calm, but inside a flicker of something human burned. Pride. Not arrogance, but quiet confidence. Humans had shown their power, their ingenuity, their courage, and yet this was only the beginning. The galaxy had not seen the full extent of human determination, and it would soon learn that even the mightiest empires could tremble in the face of one relentless species. The Dauntless sailed through the wreckage, shields still glowing, weapons ready, crew steady. In the cold, endless void of space, one truth became clear to everyone who had witnessed it. Humans were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. And they had only just begun. The wreckage of the Empire fleet drifted silently in the void, glowing like cold stars in the endless black. The Dauntless glided past the shattered cruisers, shields shimmering, engines humming with quiet power. Commander Jonah Hale watched the scene from the bridge, eyes sharp, mind calculating. Victory felt close, but his instincts warned him not to celebrate yet. Humanity had learned long ago the enemy always had more tricks. "Sir," Lieutenant Mara said, frowning at the scanner. "There's an anomaly. Sensors show a massive object emerging from behind the asteroid field. It's enormous, way beyond our previous targets." Hale's lips pressed into a thin line. He leaned forward, eyes narrowing at the display. "Show me." The holographic projection filled the bridge, a colossal alien dreadnought, bristling with weapons that dwarfed anything Hale had ever seen. Its surface gleamed with strange alloys, shields glowing like molten fire. This was no ordinary ship. It was a fortress, a weapon designed to annihilate fleets in a single strike. Admiral Corrin, watching from the Empire flagship, felt a surge of hope. His voice cracked over the comms. "Hale, retreat now! You cannot face that alone. I order it." Hale's hand hovered over the comms but didn't respond. Humans did not retreat when others told them to. They faced impossible odds and adapted. "Prepare evasive maneuvers," he said quietly, voice steady. "And ready the long-range disruptors. We'll show them that size does not equal power." The dreadnought fired first. Bolts of energy tore through space, tearing at asteroids, pulverizing what remained of the Empire's smaller ships. The Dauntless twisted and rolled, dodging with impossible precision. The shields absorbed minor strikes while the crew coordinated flawlessly, adjusting weapons and propulsion in perfect harmony. "Sir," Mara said, voice tight, "they're trying to predict our movements. We can't let them lock a firing solution." Hale nodded. "They won't. Humans don't move in predictable patterns. Trust your instincts. Trust each other." The dreadnought unleashed a barrage of missiles, targeting every angle. Hale smiled faintly, almost imperceptibly. He gave the order, and the Dauntless released a cloud of microdrones. They darted forward like a swarm of deadly fireflies, each one jamming the alien sensors and disrupting targeting systems. The dreadnought's massive guns fired blindly, energy bolts exploding harmlessly in empty space. On the Empire flagship, Corrin's face turned pale. "Impossible! That single ship, one human battleship, is countering the dreadnought." "How?" Hale's eyes never left the viewport. He could see the enormity of the challenge, but he also saw the opportunity. Humans thrived under pressure, drawing strength from impossible odds. With a calm, commanding voice, he issued orders that seemed almost too simple to work. "Engage the disruptor pods at full power. Target the dorsal shields. Wait for the opening." The crew moved as one, adjusting shields, weapons, and engines with uncanny precision. Moments later, the dorsal shields of the dreadnought flickered and collapsed. The Dauntless surged forward, torpedoes screaming through space, striking the massive ship's hull. Explosions blossomed like fiery flowers across the alien vessel, but Hale didn't slow. He pressed forward, weaving through debris, dodging energy fire, and striking again. Every strike, every maneuver was human ingenuity at its finest. The dreadnought's size and firepower could not match coordination, adaptability, or courage. Hale's crew felt the tension, the fear, the adrenaline, but they also felt pride, purpose, and unity. Every human aboard understood the stakes. This was survival, not just for themselves, but for the message humanity carried across the stars. The dreadnought shuddered under repeated strikes. Its crew, disciplined and powerful, began to falter. Confusion spread, hesitation took root, and cracks appeared in the massive fortress of metal and energy. Corrin's voice rang out again, desperate and trembling. Fall back or be destroyed." Hale's eyes, calm and unyielding, reflected the starlight. "We fight until the last chance," he murmured, a quiet promise that every human aboard felt in their bones. The dreadnought, for all its size and power, began to tilt, crippled by a single battleship that refused to yield. The void seemed to hold its breath. Stars glittered silently as humans and aliens clashed in a battle that would be remembered for generations. One human battleship alone, facing the greatest threat the Empire had ever mustered and proving, once again, that humans fought not with fear, but with ingenuity, courage, and heart. Hale stood, hand on the railing, watching the dreadnought falter. Somewhere deep in space, a single truth shone brighter than any star. Humans did not run. Humans did not surrender. And humans always found a way. The silence of space was shattered by the echo of explosions. The Dauntless moved like a predator, weaving through the wreckage of the Empire's fleet. Stars streaked past the viewport as Commander Jonah Hale's eyes never left the massive dreadnought that had dared to challenge him. It was crippled but not yet defeated, and the rest of the Empire fleet, still powerful, still dangerous, was regrouping. "Sir," Lieutenant Mara reported, her fingers flying over the console. "The remaining cruisers are converging on our position. They're trying to trap us." Hale didn't flinch. Humans thrived under pressure. "Let them," he said calmly. "We don't run. We don't surrender. We fight." The Empire fleet had learned fear, but fear was not enough to make humans falter. Hale had studied every pattern, every tactic the Empire had used for centuries, and he knew one thing. They underestimated humans at their own peril. "Activate forward assault drones," he ordered. "Target the flagship's weapons array." The drones launched silently, invisible streaks in the dark void. They moved with the precision of a living swarm, disabling shields, cutting communication links, and striking at critical systems. The Empire flagship's weapons faltered, faltering like a wounded beast. Admiral Corran watched in horror. His orders had failed again. His fleet, disciplined and powerful, was being shredded by a single human battleship. His hands shook as he bellowed, "Concentrate fire! Don't let that one ship destroy us." Hale's crew moved as one. Every man and woman on the Dauntless knew their role. Some adjusted shields, some piloted, some coordinated weapons. But all of them felt the same thing: the pride of fighting for something larger than themselves. Humans were never just soldiers. They were a united force, a single mind acting as many bodies. "Sir," Mara said quietly. "The flagship's shields are down on the dorsal side. We can strike now," Hale nodded. "Good. Target the dorsal generators. Full power." Torpedoes surged through space, striking the Empire flagship with devastating precision. Explosions rippled along its hull, tearing through armor and systems alike. The fleet hesitated, stunned by the audacity of one human ship striking the heart of their power. Fear spread like wildfire, and for the first time Corran realized something terrifying. One human could break an entire fleet. Hale's eyes glimmered with quiet determination. "Push forward. We finish this." The Dauntless surged into the chaos, dodging lasers, weaving through debris, and striking with calculated precision. Every attack tore deeper into the Empire's command structure. Ships collapsed in fireballs, weapon systems exploded, and alien crews panicked. It was not just a battle, it was a statement. Humanity had arrived, and it would not bow to anyone. From the Empire flagship, Corran watched helplessly as his fleet crumbled. His voice, trembling with disbelief, echoed through the command room. How can one ship, one human, do this? It's impossible." Below decks, the Dauntless's crew felt the tension, the fear of facing such impossible odds, but also a deep, unshakable pride. They were humans. They endured. They fought. They did not run, and they did not surrender. Every heart on that ship beat in unison, each pulse a reminder of the strength of humanity. The dreadnought that had threatened them earlier now drifted powerless, crippled by a combination of human courage and ingenuity. The Empire's remaining cruisers were scattered, disorganized, and afraid. Hale's calm, steady presence on the bridge radiated confidence. His crew mirrored it, their eyes glowing with determination and unity.